Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast, Just the Tips edition. That is Jesse. I am Liam, and we are here again to tip the round of football that is coming up this weekend. Jesse, the Sir Doug Nicholls round, I believe round one of two of the Sir Doug Nicholls, yes. I believe, Jesse, which is always exciting. How you doing, mate? How you feeling about this week?
I'm good. I'm actually excited for this round. I'm keen to shake out the demons of round 9. And the curse of close round games. But hopefully round number 10 treats me a bit kinder and I can continue to wipe the floor with you in this competition as is tradition.
I was very upset that you said you found this really easy this round. I was just going through it and just going, I don't know what to do. But before we get too far into it, if you would like to get involved, join and give us your tips for this round. Using the confidence point system, which Jesse will explain in just a second. You can find us at cmperfect_AFL, Insta, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple. That's for the main podcast. Obviously, YouTube is here. Thank you for joining. Like, share, and subscribe. Confidence points, Jesse, what be they?
So confidence points are a way that we try to add a bit of a spread system to our tipping each week. So the team we are least confident in winning but still think will get the job done, we assign 1 confidence point to. The team we are most confident in winning, we assign max points to. For that round this week, of course, it is 9. Whoever has the most confidence points at the end of the season will be the confidence points champion. Now, Liam, yes. We were quite diverse last week on our tips. I think we went 3 different results across the board. How did that end up playing out, though, for our scores?
Well, Jesse, the way the scores worked out, and this is why the confidence point system is so great, I did tip more than you last week. It was very, very fun. However, as you'll see in the scoreboard right now, we tied 25
it's still
points.
A 20-point lead. That's more than the average margin last week too.
Yeah, I think
so. If this was a game of football, we'd have increased the margin.
Yeah, I think that might be wrong. I think it's actually only 10 points. I'll have to go back and check. But,
I did think 20 was high.
Yeah, it's 10.
I'm not going to complain. You put it there now on a recording.
It's in writing. It's on the recording. But I'm just going to say it's 243 versus 253.
Okay, that's fair.
Because by the time we get around to watching this, or you are, dear watcher, I'll have changed it. So
I prefer this version. Can we screenshot this?
You could do what you want, Jesse. You have the technology if you wish.
That is true.
But we are going head on into round 10. Let's begin, Jesse. What is game number 1?
Thursday night football up in Darwin at TO Stadium. Gold Coast hosting Hawthorn in what should be a belter of a game. We've been treated some excellent games up in Darwin since Gold Coast have expanded their reach up there. This promises to be another. Liam, as the most recent loser of this segment, you just get to decide whether I go first or you go first. What say you?
Oh, let's have a look, Jesse. I reckon I'll send you off on the way first, I reckon.
Okay. Starting off with Gold Coast with 1 for me. This promises to be a brilliant game. I do think the Suns, though, are right place, right time. You know, they're playing some excellent football at the moment. I know their form reads a bit patchy, but you've got a ghastly game against the Tigers, which was just straight up weird.
Mm-hmm.
Lost to their arch rivals and current ladder leaders in Brisbane in the Q Clash, and then come up here and beat the Dogs, who would be right up that top of that tree for informed sides in the competition.
Yep.
They're attacking. The Hawks are attacking. That's why I'm not going with a crazy number in the confidence points. This could go either way, but I just want to give just a little nudge to the Suns to get them over the line here.
Fair shout. I basically agree with everything you've just said, Jesse. It's Gold Coast in Darwin. They don't lose. I've gone with 2, slightly more than you. Off to a cracking start if I get that one. That's a point back. But no, I'm pumped for this game. I'm really excited for it, and I think it should hopefully be an absolute barn burner. Let's move on to Friday night footy.
Well, I hope it's not, because they need the stadium.
That is true. Swans, Blues, SCG, Friday night footy. Jesse.
Friday night game, by the way.
Friday night game. Is it a Friday night game?
Yep. And these 2.
Yeah.
And Carlton win this last week and were also bad. They're not magically good now. They were bad, then they're bad now.
Yeah, but it's Carlton, though. Look at that form. And look at that form. 4 out of the last 5, Jesse. What are you talking about?
Flying. Who are you tipping, Liam?
Look, I get this really... I always pause when it's Swans at the SCG.
Okay. Do you need a minute, or should I go make a coffee and come back? Or
yeah, off you go.
Okay.
No, I think I think this game is it's a bit of an I don't know one again. But every time I've tipped the Swans this year, they've completely let me down. So I'm not going to do it. Carlton with 3. I think Carlton are starting to find their footing again, somewhat. And the Swans aren't the formidable force that they were last year for this to be a question. So for me, it's going to be Blues with 3. Still not overly confident because I still think there is that SCG factor and the Swans, you know, still in my head being meant to be a pretty good team. That's still rattling around. So Blues with 3 for me. Jesse, what do you reckon?
Blues with 4 for me. I look at the Blues as slightly better Essendon, and the Swans can't beat Essendon. So
succinct.
Yeah. I mean, some analysis, maybe. Carlton have won 4 of the last 5, but they've beaten mostly bad sides in that bracket, I feel, and got pumped by Adelaide. That's not great, but the Swans have been shocking all season. Were dreadful last week against Essendon, but genuinely dreadful. And the one game they have won in those last 5, they've scraped over the line against the Giants, who have been up and down themselves. So not a lot to be enthused about. And I do think the 7-day break for Carlton will help somewhat negate the SCG factor that Swans get, because they come off the 6-day break. Blues get the extra day of rest. I think that will also help as well. So Carlton with 4 for me. I actually would be surprised if Sydney did win this game.
Yeah. Me too. Let's move on to Saturday. This should be a cracker. So Saturday, May 17th, Jesse, what do we got?
We have Collingwood hosting Kawana, our first renamed club for the Sir Doug Nicholls round. The Crows taking on the Magpies. I'm up first here. Found this a really tough game. Despite the fact they've got other points lower, I found this was the toughest game of the round. Collingwood with 3 for me. No shade on Kawana at all. I do feel like they are an excellent attacking side, but the Pies are flying at the moment, and they're beating attacking sides. They're beating boring, dreadful defensive sides. They're getting the job done. And that one blot in their copybook was against Geelong, very good side, and they had a chance to win the game after the siren. You know, oh dear. They're flying. Kawana could absolutely pinch this, and it wouldn't surprise me if both you've tipped them and they did. But I think, Collingwood right now just slightly ahead for me. But it'll be interesting to see how Collingwood's slightly smaller defensive structure goes against the big Kawana forwards.
Vibes, Jesse. It's my vibe game.
Fair enough, too. No, you know what? Good for you. I think if there was one that we're going to go different on this week, I think it would be this one.
Yes. I actually have a few vibe games this week, actually, looking at my picks. Yeah, I know. Adelaide with 1 for me. I think it's going to be a super close game. I'm hoping it's a super close game. But I think this is just more, again, and this is what comes down to my vibe picks, is what I want to see. And I would like to see Adelaide win this and actually show the competition that they are, a serious threat. I feel like Adelaide, everyone knows that they're a good team, but I don't know, there's like that little bit in everyone's head that's like, it's just Adelaide. It's just Adelaide. They haven't won anything since 96. It's fine. It's not always in 96. 98. Thank you very much. Kanga's 96. So
they also won in 99, though, so your point's wrong twice.
No, I was only wrong once, Jesse. There was another thing. It doesn't matter. Don't find me up in the tips. It's a sacred ground. So Adelaide with 1 for me. I think it should be a cracking game, but we'll move on lest you correct me again. Here we go.
Yatapulti hosting Geelong at the Adelaide Oval, also on Saturday. Another potentially tricky game here. We know Yatapulti do play the Oval quite well, but Geelong, we talk about their discipline constantly. Liam, what say you for this game?
Vibe game number 2.
Okay.
Go on Port with 4.
What?
Yeah. Because
okay.
2 reasons. 1, I did my tips literally right before we started filming, and I had to throw numbers down on the board, and that's where it's landed. And 2, I think if Yatapulti can bring the same kind of pressure and want as they gave Adelaide in the showdown last weekend, hey, nothing to say they can't get over the Cats. So 4 is probably high, yes, but that's where we are. And this is not a vibe game that I really want to see Yatapulti win. I don't really care. I think the Cats are good.
You do now.
I do now. All my money on the Yatapulti. Jesse, who do you got?
Geelong with 5 for me. Look, Yatapulti were excellent in the showdown last week, but that was a showdown. Coming off that, they were beaten by 90 points by the Dogs.
Mm.
That's quite bad. That is quite bad form.
It's very bad.
Now, there is those 3 ticks in their copybook before that, but I'm not diving into Yatapulti this season. I think that they're unflattered by the ladder position. I feel like they're better side than 13th place, but also don't think this is the week you're able to go and get an overlap. In saying that, it is a must-win game for them, so you don't know. But Geelong, they're not going to want to hang around here. They've lost frustrating games in the last month to Carlton and the GWS. They need to start piling on wins if they want top 4. They've got to go to Adelaide, of which they do play pretty well. Of course, they beat Adelaide there early in the season. They've won finals at the Adelaide Oval previously as well, so they know the ground pretty well. Just got to trust Geelong here, I think. So Cats with 5 for me.
That's what I love about these tips, Jesse. I have nothing to offer as to why I'm tipping half these teams, but you, sir.
And you'll somehow win the competition, and it will really irritate me.
Oh well, if this week goes the way I probably should go, I will be down by 20 once all said and done. Let's move on to the next game.
GWS hosting Wayup at NG Stadium. This may break the record for the lowest attendance of all time. There might be 11 people here. We won't be them because we have access to television.
But as someone who has been to a Giants Wayup game before in NG Stadium, not a big crowd. No, not a big crowd.
I'm up first here. Giants with 7. And I think the Giants are quite rubbish at the moment. We should really tell you where I think Wayup are at. Because if the Giants are rubbish, then Wayup is the landfill in which that rubbish is getting tipped on and is burying it further down the ladder. Look, simply put, Wayup don't have a functioning game plan. I don't think I can tip them at all, ever, until I see some actual change in the way they're approaching football under Justin Longmuir. I don't think it's going to happen. Giants, they come in off a win. They'll be disappointed they lost that battle at a bridge the week prior as well. So they've got a bit of work to do, the Giants, on those little things. But they do have talent in this team. And I don't know right now if Wayup defensively are with it at all. And that's scary when you're talking about a raging hot form Jesse Hogan against a distracted Alex Pearce and, an inconsistent Brennan Cox. Pearce, is he going to Tasmania? It seems like that more and more likely each week. I'm not sure he's 100% focused and committed on the task at hand. So a risky one here for Wayup. They lost this fixture last year in bad fashion. It was a close-ish game, but the way they capitulated was poor. I get the sense you might see a similar result here. There's going to be a smashing that maybe a 7-point confidence number would suggest, but I just don't see a world where Wayup win this.
No, Giants with 5 for me as well. The only reason it's so low is because you really don't know what Wayup is going to show up. Because honestly, Freo are confusing. And you say that game plan, you're not going to tip until you see a game plan. You might see a game plan this week that works. And guess when you won't see it? The week after. So you really don't know what to say. I think the Giants are too good, though, for this Wayup side at the moment. So I think there's nothing more to say. You said it all, Jesse. Let's move on to the next game.
Dogs hosting the Bombers at Marvel Stadium for some Saturday night football action. Could be a little sleeper hit game here, Liam. I don't know if this is going to be a game of the season. But the Bombers will want a scalp here because they've picked up wins against okay sides. Mm-hmm. They've gotten 4 of the last 5. They've lost probably the only genuinely good team they played in that time. But they're in form in terms of on the papers. They're going to want to get a result here. Liam, how are you going?
Well, with any sleeper hit, Jesse, it's going to be really close, I'm sure. Bulldogs with 7. I think the Bulldogs are just, despite the loss to the Suns up in Darwin, they're just a good team this year. And while the Bombers have obviously got some good form, I don't know if it has been against any decent competition. I'm not too sure if it has been. No, it hasn't been. So I think the Bulldogs will be a big test for them for sure. But I think they're going to be just too good, Jesse. What are your thoughts?
Dogs with 8 for me. I agree. I think there's a clear gulf between these two sides. If Brad Scott can engineer this game, as the best of Brad Scott can do, we could see a competitive game here. And the Dogs may get stuck in the mud. It may make it hard. But right now, with the midfield output they're getting, it's going to be a long way back. And I still don't think the Bombers defensively are solid against. It's just relentless attack, which is hard for any side to be solid against. But I think they're going to struggle if Norton's able to get isolation. I don't think they've got a genuine key. I know Ben McKay will probably play that role, but I have question marks about that. I just think a relentless push from the Dogs in that midfield battle, which they should be able to clearly win. I mean, obviously Zach Merritt, a phenomenal player, but it's going to be a hard slog for him, I think, to try and overcome this Dogs midfield almost by himself. So tough result potentially for the Bombers, but I do think it still could be an interesting game.
Fair shout. Let's move on to Sunday.
North Melbourne being hosted by Richmond at the MCG. Not a lot of commute for these two sides. The bus from Arden Street and Punt Road combined will travel about 7 minutes. I'm up first here. Tigers with 2 for me. Now, I know that a draw against Brisbane is a significantly more important result than a 2-point win against West Coast. But I love the way the Tigers got that job done. And they got the job done, and that's the key difference for me. They shut down West Coast late when that game was just... It was teetering on chaos. It was so open at one stage, and Richmond managed to wrestle back control. I just think their experience is solid enough to get the job done here. But hopefully, both sides put out a competitive showing, and both sides show us a glimpse of what is in their future. Liam, you look crosser than me on Thursday night at the Freo Collingwood game. What say you?
Well, I'm not cross yet, Jesse. I'm not cross yet. But look, this is going to be a round where it's going to go like this. It's going to be me ahead by a lot or me down by an absolute ton.
Have you done North with 9?
No.
Okay.
No. I just realised I haven't actually got a 9. Oh, no. That's my 9 now. Okay.
North with 9.
No, North with 6 I've got.
That's a lot of points, though.
I know it is. Well, I've only got 6, 9, and 7 left. Or 6, 9, and 8 left, I should say. Oh, dear. What have I done? I should be more prepared. This is a lesson to everybody. Prepare your tips before you record. Look, if they win, happy days for me. It could be...
going to now. Buggers. I can't say the word I want to say on YouTube.
Vibes. Look, it's going to be, I think, akin to the Tigers West Coast game last week. I think this has the potential to be a real fun game of footy between two teams down the bottom. I say that. I think Tigers have only got 1 win less than Freo now. So who's the bottom side now? But that is fine, Jesse. We'll move on to the next game because I don't know what else to say about the fact that I put 6 points on North. Let's go.
Brisbane hosting Nam at the Gabba on Sunday afternoon. I'm at first here. Lions with 9. Liam?
Lions with 9. Wouldn't surprise you to know that was the one I hadn't put 9 on because I didn't have a 9 on there. Yeah. What's more to say? I think Lions will go back up to the Gabba and be just dandy. Shall we just move to the last game, Jesse?
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Waddish Marawa hosting Euroke at Optus Stadium on Sunday afternoon. 1 win in the last 10 games for these two sides combined. Can we play you every week, the rest of the competition says. Fremantle says, because they managed to blow that. Liam, you're up first here. How are you sending us home?
Well, I've only got one more tip to give Jesse and 1 more points to assign, and that is to Euroke with 8.
Okay.
No, I think. Look, it's the Eagles this year. Bless their hearts. I think they're kind of building like slowly towards that one win that's just going to come out of nowhere. This could be it, to be honest with you. This could be it. But they're not there yet. I don't think. So yeah, Euroke with 8. Jesse.
I broadly agree. Euroke with 6. I'm just slightly wary that this game was very close last year, and I don't think the Saints necessarily travel that well, and they're also coming off a really flat performance, whereas Waddish Marawa, you could argue, coming off a peak performance, or close to a peak performance against the Tigers at the G. Back at the home crowd, I do really think this is going to be one of those games where the home crowd will get behind them. It's not a game they're going to go in, I think, necessarily slump down. And look at their last 2 home games. Very competitive against the Bombers. Pretty competitive against Melbourne. I do think we're seeing a very rare opportunity in front of their home fans to get the job done here. In saying that, you'd be very bold to tip them. Hence why I've gone Euroke. I just think the Saints should have enough, but I am wary about this one. I don't think it's as straightforward as maybe you painted it out to be.
No. What game is, Jesse? A weird round of tipping we've got there. It's going to be interesting to see how this all wraps up when we come back next week for round 11, where I'm likely to be down by a whole lot more points. Jesse, send everyone home.
Thank you, everyone. I will do that. Thank you, Len. And thank you for tuning in to the Just the Tips edition of the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast. Like, share, subscribe, get your tips down below in the comments. Make sure you enjoy your football weekend, and we'll see you again soon for more tipping action.
Bye, everybody.